Hi. So on a previous video, I talked about the technique of reframing or changing your mindset from negative labels or interpretations of actions which students or parents might be taking to maybe alternatives or positive reframings that can help you actually think about solutions and get at the bottom of what's actually happening so that you can focus on creating those solutions. So the second piece of that comes with changing your locus of control or what your focus is when you're making attributions about the behavior of the students or the parents, right? And since I did a lot on the students last time, I'll pick a few parent examples this time, right? So let's say, for example, you have a statement that you make in your mind that the parents just don't care about their students' success, right? And you made this negative assumption, right? Negative frame. And you might want to change that frame to something positive or some alternative. You could maybe say, perhaps the parents don't have the time because they're working three jobs and they are overwhelmed in life, or they're dealing with a lot with their kids, and they themselves might be struggling to find a solution to the things that their kids are going through. There might be a lot of different reasons, right? They themselves are going through some health concerns or mental health concerns. There could be a lot of different things that explain that behavior that you're not taking into consideration. So maybe reframe it as um, this parent needs help to support their student, right? Now, with the locus of control piece comes into how you attribute the cause of the behavior and what is happening. You can't take ownership over the part that the other person has to do. But if everything is the other person's fault, right, then you're hopeless. There's nothing that you can do about it because you can't force other people to do things. You can try to tell them to do it. You can nag them. You can try to give them support. But at the end of the day, if it's something that they have to do, well, they might just not do it. And then you're lost and you're frustrated because nothing is working, right? So instead of focusing on what you need the parent to do or the student to do, you have to kind of shift focus of control and think about, what can I do? What action steps do I do to fix this? So if you're expecting the parent to check the student's grades and talk to the parents, the students every day to make sure that they actually uh, encourage the students and monitor the students' behavior, check in with them, show interest in what they're learning, that would be great. But all of these are behaviors which are outside of your control. You can coach the parents on this. You can give resources for the parents on how to do this. But at the end of the day, that's something that they have to do. But if you shift the focus from just, I wish the parents were doing this, right, to what are the actions that I can do to help change the situation, well, maybe something could change. So maybe the parent doesn't know how to check the student's grades. So maybe you offer the parent on an email. You can say, "Are you aware of how Infinite Campus works? Do you need support in making sure that this platform you can use this platform to check the students' grades?" And you might be surprised. The parent might say, "Wow, I actually don't know how to do that." Right? But if you were in the attitude, it's just like, "Oh, parents just don't want to check their grades," or "the parents need to start checking their grades," you would never actually take the action to do something about it, like providing the resource, right? So there are things that you can do, and the focus needs to be on what you can do. So what action steps can you take to change the situation, right? So for example, I'll do another example here. Um, I told my students a million times, but they just won't listen, right? So you can reframe that and think something like, maybe the students are having trouble understanding it in the way you're communicating, or maybe they have an auditory processing issue, or maybe they need more repetition. Maybe they would do better if there was also in writing, right? They would do better if there was checks for understanding. And see, that already sets you up for the reframing. Instead of putting this on the students, they have to listen better. Now you put it on yourself. I have to do these other things. I have to scaffold. I have to have a just-in-time help to save them. I have to have better written instructions, oral instructions. I have to repeat it to them. I have to make them repeat it to me, right? These are all things that I have to do to make sure they understand the instructions better, right? If I put that on them, I will not change anything about what I'm doing. So no matter how many times this process happens, to me, it's not It's never about like what the student isn't doing or even what they are doing. It has to be about what I'm doing, because if it's about what they're doing, I can't change that. I can only change what I'm doing. So shift your focus to create actions that you can put in place to change the situation. Let's do one more with parents, right? So let's say uh, parents have these kids, but they don't really want to spend time with them, right? So it might again be the case that the parent has several different jobs and they have struggled to find the time to connect with their students, right? So that is my reframing, right? And or it might be that the parent doesn't know how to connect with their students because they just lost touch with their student, right? So then I can actually set up something that I can do about that. Maybe I create a way that we can all communicate virtually, asynchronously, so that the students can still communicate and feel like the parents are showing interest in keeping tabs on them. So I do a check-in sheet with the student, and I invite the parent to be a part of the thing. And then when the parent has time, they pitch in. And I might just start more conversations at home. Or if it's something that the parents are having trouble connecting with the students, maybe I provide the parents with some guided talk points to start conversations at home. Or maybe I invite them to a meeting where we can have that conversation together, and I can be the bridge that models how that could happen and how the interaction and showing interested in mentoring the student could look like, right? Again, focus on the actions that you can take to change the situation. Otherwise, you don't have any hope. So that's about shifting the locus of control and the focus of to focus on your actions. So, like on the last video of this series, I put on the description of this video a link to an exercise on reframing that also has a column for you to practice shifting the locus of control. So some of the examples that I went through are actually in the spreadsheet, but try some of the others and try to see if you can try to shift the conversation from something negative to an alternative, and then from that alternative, inspire an action that you can do that might make a difference on the outcome. I hope you found this helpful. See you in the next video. Don't do anything that would not make you more proud.